The black war on police officers continues. All over the country, the default response now, whenever a cop encounters a black person, is defiance, harassment, taunting, even pulling guns, even shooting guns. We're going to see 3 videos on that in a minute. But, today I was riding in my car where I have NPR on, and I'm listening to John Hockenberry. He's been around for a while. He's their white correspondent in a wheelchair. So he was kind of promoting his next segment. He was going, boy, our next segment is really going to make you uncomfortable. But, it's really something you need to hear. It's like, no one, and I thought, well, maybe they're actually going to present something that says what they know, other than what they normally say, which is black people are relentless victims of relentless white racism all the time, everywhere. That explains everything, especially why cops are always picking on black people for no reason whatsoever. I mean, it's amazing how often on NPR they shoehorn that into a segment. I have an internal stopwatch I keep in my mind when I listen to NPR, and no matter what the segment, somebody's always going to inject race into it. Yeah, listen to NPR. Tell me I'm wrong.
Among the feelings of change all around us, I think there's been a hint of a new openness and candor regarding race in America. The political campaign shows that people are tired of simplistic rhetoric, that's for sure. Support the police versus police brutality is all racism. There is a recognition that the violence resulting in the deaths of Eric Garner, Michael Brown, Akai Gurley, Tamir Rice, Walter Scott, Freddie Gray, is reflected in tensions unspoken, anger unvoiced, privilege unacknowledged, freedom and equality still out of reach for Americans. Is there a role that each of us can play in speaking of those tensions, angers, privileges, speaking openly, speaking one race to another, one person to another, to step over suspicion and awkwardness to find some new place? We think so. And over the next several weeks, we plan to bring you straightforward, candid, sometimes painful one-on-one conversations about race. We're inspired by a project from writer Rebecca Carroll. It's a series called How I Got Over. We'll be hearing some of her conversations here on The Takeaway. Her first is with actor Ethan Hawke, and we'll hear that next week. But Rebecca's mantra is, let's just start talking. And so we did. We found out a lot about each other as we stepped through some awkward territory to find truth and a new understanding. 2 people at a time.
Well, so the series is really largely inspired by a Toni Morrison quote, which is that we die. That may be the meaning of life, but we do language, and that may be the measure of our lives. And I really do believe that. And this conversation that we keep talking about, the difficult conversation about race, has always been important. But why it's particularly important now is that there is a window of heightened receptivity. Mm-hmm. And so whether it's just a trend or some kind of Gladwellian tipping point, we need to take that moment, that window, and really get in there and really move beyond the uncomfortable. Because I don't really think most white people certainly understand just how uncomfortable we need to get. It's sort of like, get uncomfortable, sit in that discomfort, and then keep talking. And I think that that's really the challenge.
What should I do about my white privilege? Period, the end. Okay,
so that's maybe not the question to ask, but because you have it and you've been operating in the world with it, right? You're not going to give it away. There's nothing, you have it.
I'm a guy in a wheelchair. I'm not supposed to have any privilege, but I still have it anyway.
That's right.
So it's like white trumps wheelchair.
White trumps everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, but in this segment, they did not disappoint or surprise. They brought this black woman on who was raised by white parents in some white neighborhood in Wisconsin, which apparently, did something really, really bad to her. And so now she kind of makes her living by telling white people how much white people suck and how black people are always victims. So that's what she did. She and John Hockenberry did for the first 2 minutes of this report that I had enough gumption to listen to. I mean, right away it was like, oh yeah, white privilege. Oh yeah, white racism. Oh yeah, white this, white that. Oh yeah, black people are, total victims of white privilege. Isn't it weird that a bunch of rich white people would play some black chick raised by white people, pay her to tell other white people how racist they are and how black people are victims? I mean, that's weird enough, but it's even weirder when you think that every day we're doing videos on this channel. Lots of other people are doing stories too. Every day, about how the world is actually the opposite of what they're saying, about how black people are predators. Black people are way more likely to attack a white person or kill a white person or rape a white person than the other way around. I mean, these numbers, we're not talking 10, 20, 30%. We're talking 10 times, 1,000 times, 5,000 times. That's the difference in crime rates, depending on what crime you're talking about, depending on where you are. Black versus white, again, when you compare black versus white to white on black. And, if you throw Asians in there, I mean, then the numbers just get ridiculously out of whack, even further out of whack. And every day we see these stories. These are stories that I've gotten into my email the last 24 hours. I mean, I haven't even looked for these stories. 3 stories, and wait till we get to the kicker at the end from New Jersey.
Madison police officials are recommending a 21-year-old man be charged with the attempted homicide of an officer.
Cornelius Britton has been in jail for 2 weeks now. Police say they have evidence that he targeted an officer.
Britton is also suspected of other gun crimes.
Tonight, Tony Galley's got you covered on this investigation in a year of struggle in Madison with violent crime.
We have now over 125 incidents of gun violence.
Madison Police Chief Mike Koval's tally includes morning gunshots October 6th on Russet Road.
We had a call of shots fired, which we now believe was a mere predicate or pretext for getting the desired officer response.
On Russet Road, 21-year-old Cornelius Britton took a sniper-type position and targeted an unsuspecting officer.
That he fired multiple rounds at this officer who was canvassing the scene to see if everything was okay.
Authorities say they believe Britton blasted off gunshots earlier to lure officers. They say he was arrested hours later on Raymond Road with a handgun seized. And authorities say he's also suspected of threatening his mother, ripping off a big box store, trying to pull off a drive-by shooting, and using a gun to swipe jewelry. Amidst a 2016 disturbingly full of gun incidents in Madison, Madison's police chief feels at least one bad actor is off the streets.
Now, it started when a man left his house, then fired at Kansas City police officers. Now, KCTV5's Charlie Misra joins us live now from on the ground there near 55th and Cambridge. Charlie, what are police telling you right now?
Hi, Carolyn. There are still limited details at this point, but they are still in that standoff. We'll give you a look over this way. Police have the street blocked off. They have a command post out that way, and if you just looked over a little bit over to the right, it's just behind that wooded area is where the home is. A little bit hard to see from this angle, but they have been at it for hours trying to talk down the suspect, and we are stationed a block away. Police had us here just to make sure everyone's safe. This started almost 4 hours ago. Police say a KCPD officer in an unmarked car was doing a follow-up investigation near 55th and Cambridge, and when the officer drove through the area, a man came out of the house and started shooting at him. The officer was not hurt, and this man who fired shots is holed up in this house.
New details tonight about an officer-involved shooting in Daytona Beach. Investigators say the officer fired a single shot at a 16-year-old overnight. Police say the teen originally ran from the officer and then pulled a gun. Tonight, he is out of the hospital and the shooting is under investigation. Channel 9's Sierra Putman joins us live from Daytona Beach. Sierra, you talked to the club's owner tonight where the teen was coming from.
And I also spoke to the neighbors of Officer Marcus Booth. They sing his praises and they're glad he's okay. And that club owner, well, he tells me the police did their job and he's just glad no one was really hurt or killed.
We were checking for alcohol and everything last night.
Sam Ferguson is the owner of the Safari Lounge. He says he was hosting a teen dance at his club that went into early Saturday morning.
It was my niece's 16th birthday.
Closing time came at 1 a.m. Shortly after, Daytona Beach police got a call reporting a fight. The caller said a teen in an orange hooded sweatshirt had a gun. Police say the 16-year-old took off when they arrived.
As he was coming over a fence to get away from the officers, he encountered one of my officers, Officer Marcus Booth.
Officer Booth says the teen pulled out a gun.
Officer fired one shot and the suspect surrendered.
Police report finding a stolen gun on the scene. The teen was injured, possibly from a bullet grazing his chest, but he's okay. Now he faces charges, and Officer Booth is on paid leave pending an investigation. Booth joined the Daytona Beach PD in 2010. This is a 2014 picture of him off the Volusia County Sheriff's Office website. He's in the middle, receiving an award for responding to an active shooter at the Halifax Hospital.
He's ace. That's all I can say. You would think of a police officer as rough and gruff, and he's like a gentle giant.
That young man, he's okay. The officer's okay. What goes through your mind?
He's blessed. We're blessed. You know, because it's happening all over the country, and it's not always what it seems.
So every day, cops are under attack. I mean, on a lot of levels, right? Not just people pulling guns on them. That's bad enough. Not just people fighting them. Not just people challenging them and taunting them. I mean, what about the professional football players? Colin Kaepernick taking a knee. That's all about cops. Cops abusing black people. Let's not forget what that is. That's about white cops abusing black people. Okay, so somebody in New Jersey came up with the idea, well, maybe that's not really true. Maybe the true thing is that cops do a whole lot of good for a whole lot of people, protecting us from people who would do harm to us. Why don't we honor them in front of a game? The ACLU, they went ballistic. The ACLU said to honor police before a high school football game sends a frightening message. That's how topsy-turvy everything is now. Up is down, down is up, white is black, black is white. Honoring cops is frightening. Honoring frightening people is normal. And above all, don't make the black kids angry.